Here we go!
Welcome to the Nintendo Power Zone. We are a videocast / podcast dedicated to bringing you the best Nintendo-related topics. As always, I'm your host, Nice One, and joining me again is my co-host, Blues. This morning we had another Pokemon Presents. I have different feelings about this one than last week, but before we do that, how you doing today, man?
I'm pretty good. All things considered, kind of hungry. Looking forward to dinner.
Yeah, same. Haven't eaten all day, and it's been a very stressful one. I've been running around the city all day trying to get stuff done for work.
That was me all yesterday. Just work, going to appointments, grocery shopping, getting some dinner. Like, I was just all day. Mm-hmm.
That's the worst one. You just can't do what you want to do. You have to do everything else. Anyway, adulting.
Yeah, sorry.
But that's what this is for. That's what this podcast is for. So
Yeah.
just to pretend we're not adults for like up to anywhere between 1 and 2 hours. But I think today's topic is actually going to lend itself to being a shorter, more of a mini episode. Because the Pokemon Company only really showed one thing. Before we do that, let's touch on the Monday's news where they revealed Min Min for Smash. That's the wrong choice, in my opinion. I'm just going to say it right
You were
off
a
the bat.
Ninjara fan, right?
I am a huge Ninjara fan. He has the better moveset.
He got second place according to Sakurai.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know what more Ninjara could have brought to the table. I feel like other than like the teleports, which I don't think can be used as too much of an offensive option. Like you give him like the teleport counter, like for Ninja, and maybe like a dash, maybe put a hitbox on it. I don't know.
That's true.
For the most part, I feel like Min Min, with her kicks, but also the way they incorporated the dragon mechanic with her left arm and all that, I think that's solid. I didn't expect a whole lot from an ARMS character, and I feel like they really got a lot of mileage out of Min Min's kit. A lot more than I definitely anticipated. I
am actually surprised that the character is less aerial than I would have imagined an ARMS character to be.
I feel like an aerial ARMS character would have been so toxic, though. I feel like this is a lot more balanced, but I do hate it. I agree, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought, like, because the recoveries look really slow for the character.
The tether or the grounded up B?
The tether from a distance, yeah.
Tether, yeah. It's not a great looking tether, but I feel like tethers and ultimate are, I would imagine, the best tethers have been in Smash. So
I mean, just compared to Samus's, which comes out much I mean, it's virtually the same, but it comes out much quicker.
Yeah, like grapple grabs used for recovery, such as with Samus and Lucas, and even old Link. I guess what? So Toon Link still has it, right?
Yeah, Toon Link still has it.
Those are all really fast, but they also have a proper up B. But characters that have an actual grapple up B, like Joker, Byleth, and now Min Min, those are good-ish.
Also, it's weird to... You know what she reminds me of? She reminds me of a Tekken character where, like, the A button controls the left arm and the B button controls the right arm, or vice versa. I don't remember at the time right now. But that's how, like, Tekken is played, like, where each face button controls a limb. In that way, it's like she's going to be a much more technical character, just because you have to remember she doesn't have, like, that traditional, like, what is it, special with the B. And then you're gonna have to alter your controls to make her feel better, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think I could play with her using default controls.
I can see that. I really like how they translated that into the game, because in ARMS you control both arms separately, and I did not expect them to be able to translate that into Smash. That was very out of left field for me. But I really like that direction, because it makes her, like you said, like a Tekken character, but also puts a lot of that ARMS DNA in, where you have, control of both arms, which is unprecedented for a Smash character.
No, it's also weird is how, like, easily counterable she is in close combat situations. It's like, man, I thought an ARMS character would be much better,
I mean, ARMS is
I know it's about being, stretching, but like when you're playing ARMS, you have the quick recoil, like, you know, with certain characters, like pop pop, especially when you're up close and personal.
Yeah,
So
like in ARMS, the game, a rush down and getting in close is a good thing for a lot of characters. There was this 8-year-old girl. So when you got high enough on the ladder, like everyone who played ARMS like on a high ladder lost to this 8-year-old girl once, and she played Mechanica, and the instant the match started, she was up in your face, just rapid firing.
Yeah, just punch spamming.
Yeah, but she was so quick it catches you off guard, and by the time you like sort of get your bearings,
you have to figure out the rhythm. No, this is the same thing. Mario After Party and I had, you know, steadily climbed into the rank battles, and we were, you know, working our way up. And the higher up we would get, the more punch spamming, the less technique we'd actually see, and the more punch spam combos we'd actually see. It's like, man, like, and it takes a while. You're gonna have to, especially with certain characters, because After Party likes Min Min and Lollipop. So he's, you know, Min Min's again, like, she isn't the greatest, but with speed, but Ninjara can get up close and personal, so it becomes about me trying to figure out what's the rhythm to how they're doing their punches, because they can do it like this and this and this. They can press those buttons all day, but eventually I'm going to find out how they're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to work around it.
One of the reasons why I sort of switched to Springman halfway through climbing into ranked, because that spin dash, I get, what's the term for it? Shockwave? He has is a great tool for everything, really.
And then he kind of does like that thing where he absorbs, you know, like a punch. Like Max Brass is pretty good at that, like just absorbing and neutralizing certain punches. That's again, I think Min Min is a cool character within ARMS itself. I just feel like as far as ARMS characters are concerned, she's the one with like her gimmick is the least one I like to see. I do like her I don't like her, you know, dragon gimmick as much. But
Perma Charge is valuable in my opinion.
That's true. What I do like, however, is her Final Smash is absolutely...
It's gorgeous.
It's the same as Mega Man's to a degree.
And like Hero.
Yeah. But
a lot of guest characters have all of the characters come together. Yeah.
Exactly. But it just visually, it's so damn appealing to see all the like ARMS characters just bum rush you. And their arms... that was a very cool Final Smash.
It only has like the original cast.
Yeah, the first 8.
Like Max Brass Beyond, which is kind of lame, but oh well.
Makes sense. I mean, boss characters in a Final Smash. Let's leave them out. Let's leave them alone.
Well, but then Lollipop and Dr. Coil, Misango, you know, they could have been in there.
Misango, not my favorite.
He's weird. I like him, but I don't play him.
You know what? I almost thought Misango might make it just because he's got a similar gimmick to Shulk.
Shulk, yeah. I mean, they put a Shulk gimmick in Min Min. So for those who didn't watch the direct,
that's true.
Swap the arm on your right arm between 3 of Min Min's default arms: the Dragon, the Ram, and the Megawatt, which are all great. I'm kind of like theory crafting some kill setups with Megawatt in like singles because I think I can get people with that.
I do like the fact that like juggling with her might be really fun, just because she's got those combos that with her arm stretching up might keep you within the danger zone longer if you're good enough. Yeah, that's the way I see it. It's like, yeah, you can get some good juggles with her, maybe, possibly. We'll find out.
She has Zero Suit Samus up there, which is nice for juggling. Yes. Assuming the knockback isn't like a kill knockback, but like a juggle knockback. So.
Yeah, you know, this one was kind of weird to see Sakurai's
home.
I feel like the character didn't debut as well because there was nobody to play against him, really.
Well, he always plays with himself, and then he plays a computer or classic mode, right?
I don't know. It felt weird. I don't know. It felt weird. Oh, we also saw some new Amiibo, by the way. The Joker Amiibo
looks so good.
Yeah, it looks all right.
So good.
I like the fact that they've incorporated the flames into the base.
Yeah, they could have just stuck a Rodop's button called it a day, but they went the extra mile and gave it those flames, and that's what's stabilizing him, and that's great.
I mean, if this was a Wave 1 Amiibo, he'd be peeing down the side of his leg a la Link.
Yeah, oh. Jeez.
Or he'd be taking the purple dildo up the ass like Star Fox.
Jeez.
Terrible. As high quality as Amiibo actually are, that first wave is abysmal, with the exception of like the Pikachu and the Mario.
I like OG Villager.
Oh, with the bigger eyes.
Yeah.
You know, I sold one of those for like $80.
Only 80?
Well, it was like within a week of my purchase of it. So,
So it didn't skyrocket.
Oh no!
It was,
and then obviously
still a good profit.
Yeah, I mean, considering I only spent 14 on it,
Mm-hmm.
It's a good profit. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Did they give a release date for her? I don't remember.
Joker Amiibo?
No. For the Min Min.
Oh yeah, next week, the 29th.
Oh, that again. One more thing. They showed off the Hero Amiibo as well. Now that one didn't look really that well. I mean, it's prototype. But I don't know. The paint job looked bad in the video.
Yeah, for the same release window as Joker, being fall 2020, I thought that like Joker looked a lot more, refined. Like I couldn't quite tell, but like Hero's paint job sort of looked like those knockoff anime figure bad
like a bootleg Amiibo.
Yeah, bootleg, exactly. Yeah,
like a bootleg Amiibo. Didn't look like an actual Amiibo. Again, prototype, so it's subject to change. That's as it's every Amiibo has ever said when they've shown it for the first time. That one really needs to change, though. I mean, you're gonna piss off a lot of Dragon Quest fans with that, especially when you can buy some like ultra high quality Dragon Quest merchandise from Square Enix themselves. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Square Enix, did you see that polygonal Final Fantasy VII set that they're releasing?
No.
Oh, it's glorious. They're like minifigures about yay big.
And they have the Blocky Cloud.
Yep, Blocky Cloud, Blocky every character in that old block style. And I was like, I'm going to order a box. But they're blind boxes, so I'm hoping that a box guarantees me a set. But I'm also scared because the truth of the matter is this, like, you're not always guaranteed a full set, even if you buy a box. So it's like...
I really like the Monster Hunter World figures, because if you do that, you do guarantee a set. So
not fair. It's totally not fair. This is why I like open window packages much more than blind boxes.
For sure, yeah.
But it is. I mean, I'll take my chances on blind boxes, and every now and then I'll pull something good. But it is what it is. Enough of this pontificating. Let's just move forward to today's actual Pokemon presentation. Pokemon Presents.
Yes.
So everyone was wrong.
Not everyone.
Everyone was wrong. Everybody who predicted Gold and Silver remakes or Gen 4 remakes, we're all wrong. Today's presentation debuted Pokemon Unite, which is a collaboration between the Pokemon company Tencent and Tencent developer Tintin.
I think it's Tintin, yeah. Either that or TT or Tinty.
Timmy Studios.
Timmy.
Timi. God, I'm so sorry. Whatever. So Timmy Studios, they've made mobile games for Call of Duty. And Tencent is obviously known for making a crap ton of Dota clones, and other MOBAs. And that's what Pokemon Unite is. Pokemon Unite is a MOBA. So today's news isn't actually like new. It's a reveal, but we've known about the Pokemon company's deal with Tencent since last year. I think they made that announcement last year that they were working together, and obviously Nintendo was also working with Tencent on production of the Switch and the promotion of it within China, Hong Kong, and whatnot. Tencent has its own reputation. And
we're not gonna, it is.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that because I'm not going to navigate the political geosphere that it would take to talk about Tencent as a whole. But as a mobile developer, they make a lot of clones, and their Dota clones being the most popular.
I think the big thing I want to just let the people who might not be familiar know is that Tencent specifically is very big in China.
Huge.
They're massive, yeah. Think like Amazon and Facebook big, honestly. As Nice One has already said, they make a lot of knockoff games and MOBAs. Not knockoffs, clones. I don't know what you call them, but they make a lot of MOBAs.
Yeah, clones.
Most of them aren't great, but in China they see a lot of success. Not just because, one big thing is that China until recently hasn't had a lot of game consoles, so they've had to rely on PC and mobile games. So MOBAs played on PC, but then eventually came to mobile, so they kind of do better there as well. Just setting the stage there.
Yeah. So what they announced today was a partnership between these, two companies, these two massive companies, the Pokemon Company and Tencent. This is their first product, because that this is a partnership that they want to keep going because they want to expand their brand in China, the same as Nintendo. Like, to a degree, you understand why these companies are doing what they do, just because launching a console in China is, one, notoriously difficult because of the government regulations. Two, the Chinese market doesn't really gravitate towards consoles. Like, Nintendo's released almost every console that they've ever made in China at some point under some kind of different name. And they don't see like great margins of success. Yeah.
So my theory, and it's probably exactly right, is that they did this specifically to increase Pokemon's exposure and growth in China. Like, we here in the West are not the target audience for Pokemon Unite. It is specifically just for China. But hey, if it's not for us, if you enjoy MOBAs, you can do it. If you just have a curiosity, go for it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you look at the type of game that Pokemon Unite is, it's like baby's first League of Legends. Like, those games are extraordinarily popular in the Asian market in general. Like, these games do well there, and some of them do all right here. Didn't they just release like Smite here recently on the Switch or something?
On the Switch, yeah, probably.
I think Smite just got launched on the Switch. Like, these types of games are growing in popularity, and obviously League of Legends is the most successful like esport in the world right now. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than the money that League of Legends is bringing in on a regular basis. So this style of game.
Does Tencent have a piece of their finger in the pie for League of Legends?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like they have a piece of the pie when it comes to Riot games. I don't know, just food for thought. Sorry.
Tencent League of Legends Pro League, they have their own league.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that didn't take long to find. Yeah, so I mean, like, this style of game is popular in Asia, and obviously you have a company that's made multiple clones of this. I mean, if you're gonna make this style of game with anyone, you want to do it with somebody who has experience in doing it. So as much as I find this news to be earth-shatteringly disappointing, considering like the types of things that Pokemon has the ability to do as a brand, we've seen Pokemon like do amazing things. Like, obviously, we had the Pokemon Snap reveal last week, but we've had some great cool crossover games with Pokemon too. Like, Pokemon Conquest is such an underrated game, and that's like a crossover with like a Sega franchise, Nobunaga's Ambition.
The Mystery Dungeon games, which are some of the beloved spin-offs, are crossovers between the Spike Chunsoft.
Yeah. So I don't know if the problem I have with these Dota style games is I can never really follow what's happening. Even in today's presentation, as I was watching their little mini match that they did, I found it to be a little too chaotic, a little too. And this is a much smaller. Like, there's a much arena spaces.
It's very condensed.
Yeah, it's compared to like I've watched entire
League of Legends maps are massive.
They're massive, exactly.
Like, so it's an entire battlefield. This is just a small little stadium or something.
Exactly. So like, you're looking at a much more condensed space, and I still found this fairly difficult to follow because you're trying, as a viewer, you're trying to see everybody and see what the goals are, and you're watching everybody's, and obviously them shifting focus over and over and over.
Yeah.
It again, I find these games hard to get into as a spectator. As a player, I've played a few of these style of games, and they've never really drawn me in. It's because like most of the time the characters are like super generic. I have no like attachment to them. So I'm hoping that maybe if it's with characters that I know and are beloved, I could maybe find some more enjoyment out of this. But again, as I was watching the gameplay footage, I was like, this isn't really for me. This is, as you said, this is definitely designed to appeal more to the Chinese market. And I don't think they're sugarcoating that in any way, shape, or form. And now a lot of people have been asking why this needed its own separate presentation in and of itself. Why was this not part of last week's Pokemon Present? Simple answer: Tencent.
Mm-hmm.
Tencent's a big enough company that they can call some shots, especially if it's their product they're going to show. They might be able to say, "Hey, look, this deal, this between us is big enough that it warrants its own separate, presentation." And obviously, we don't want to show our game next to other mobile apps that you've developed from other developers,
like Pokemon Cafe
and Pokemon Smile. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
And also Pokemon Go, they don't want to showcase their product next to those things because they might view those as direct competitors to what they're trying to accomplish here, despite the fact that each and every other mobile game that they showed is completely different from what we've seen here.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering why, specifically, I can guarantee you the reason why it's its own presentation was because Tencent didn't want it to be part of the rest of that presentation. And also, it's a better look for them, maybe a better look for the Pokemon Company, even though me as a fan, I think is this could have all been rolled together, but I get from a business standpoint why it was spaced out the way it was.
I mean, I didn't expect it to be Pokemon Let's Go, Gold and Silver, or Gen 4 remakes. We discussed that on the last episode we did. And I was leaning more towards a spin-off, anything but a main series game I was kind of expecting. So I'm not, surprised that it wasn't Let's Go, Gold and Silver. The comparison of people looking at the plushies in the background and saying, "Let's go Gold and Silver," is the exact same as looking at the purple chair behind Sakurai and claiming Waluigi. That is never... It never means anything. You guys are looking too deep into that kind of stuff.
You know what I find weird about this trailer?
What?
Why is the trailer so freaking misleading? Where it's here's a bunch of Pokemon World Tournament stuff where we're playing all these things, and now here's this one weird game that we've made.
Because they bring it up more because I guess they can see the competitiveness and how you battle with Pokemon. Because the whole thing with the MOBA is that it's 5v5, which is unprecedented. Kind of, not really. And so I kind of get that little B-roll footage beforehand. But then in the actual gameplay, it's at first they kind of well, is it a MOBA? Is it not? I couldn't just from the trailer, I couldn't quite tell if it was a MOBA or just some kind of Rumble clone again, but with 5 players cooperating.
That's the other part about this Pokemon Presents today. They specifically did everything in their power to not describe it as a MOBA, despite the fact that's what it is. Strategic team online-based fighting game. Or online. I was that's not what this is. Just call it what it actually is.
Yeah.
It was weird marketing for a game that has the potential to allow for some really cool stuff at Pokemon Worlds. I can see some teams form. I could see this presenting really well at Pokemon Worlds.
Yeah, for sure. There's not much Chinese players at Worlds to my knowledge, right? So this could also create a sort of Chinese scene competitively in some stake for Worlds just for this game. A lot of the FGC only shows up to Worlds for Pokken,
Yep.
When they have
it's the only place left for Pokken to exist.
Yeah.
Because
Pokemon Go was at Worlds a while ago.
There should... You just made me remember how good of a game Pokken Tournament is and how lackluster its overall showcasing was at E3. The game just wasn't marketed well. Despite the fact that mechanically it is very sound. It's a great fighting game. Let's talk about the gameplay of this. So as you stated earlier, it's 5v5 online matches. This is in development for mobile and for the Switch. Will include crossplay, so you will be able to play somebody from you can play with somebody who's using their phone while you're playing your Switch, which is fantastic. That's a really cool way to make sure that you can populate arenas.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think it's going to be hard to get 5 people I know to download and play this game.
Oh, for sure.
But I think as long as you have that cross compatibility, you'll be able to jump in a room with some randos and maybe, link up and form a team, through means like that. And aside from that, it's pretty standard. There are no typings in this game, which Pokken Tournament didn't utilize typing either. They use a different type of rock paper scissors mechanic, being punches beat grabs beat blocks, and then blocks beat punch.
Punches. Yeah,
exactly. So here I didn't see any type of rock paper scissors mechanics, but I do like certain aspects of it. I do like the fact that you can actually level up your character.
Yeah. You couldn't just evolve.
And
you start
evolve.
As Squirtle, go to Blastoise.
Exactly, yeah. Just
that's
evolve
really cool.
during gameplay. During an active battle, that's very cool. You can also catch Pokemon.
Yeah, in place of minions in a typical MOBA, it's wild Pokemon, which I think is also great.
So gameplay-wise, there are some actually pretty cool things to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is how in depth does this game get, and what is our active roster of Pokemon?
That's the big thing. How many champions are there, if you will? Because with Pokemon, you can have 900 champions, right? You can have a massive amount. I think a lot of them will just be the wild Pokemon you catch, and starters and legends, and a couple like Lucario and things like that will end up being your champions for the most part, which is lame. I'd want more done with that, to be honest. But oh well.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I am struggling to find the words about how I truly feel about this, because on the one hand, I'm disappointed because obviously this isn't what I think anybody was truly expecting. I think we were expecting something, especially since we know that next year is a big year for Pokemon.
For Pokemon, yeah.
And I think if you lay the groundwork or the foundation of what's to come, that kind of you start to build the anticipation for that big anniversary. I mean, February is not as far away, especially
7 months.
Especially with the way 2020 has been going, I think we needed better news than this.
Like the biggest things Nintendo's dropped on us are essentially just downloadable content. The most recent things we got were Paper Mario, which comes out this month, right? So, and that was just a few weeks back. Whatever. But there was no time to expect it, and it, we didn't anticipate it, and it's just gonna be out soon. Then we just have Min Min drop, right? So Min Min is one of the biggest things Nintendo's talked about since Paper Mario. And then we get a handful of mobile games for Pokemon and Snap. It's it's one thing that I need to know from Nintendo is, all right, so everyone's talking about these 3D Mario collections, right? We're almost done with June. If you're going to announce that, it should have been here, right? It's still just a rumor. I just kind of doubt it at this point. It's not happening. If it's June and I haven't said a peep about a 3D Mario collection, not happening. Sorry.
Dude, sorry. No, I have no idea what Nintendo's actually trying to do with the anniversary of Mario this year. It's I don't even try anymore.
Do we have a holiday title yet?
No. For initially I thought we might be getting some kind of Breath of the Wild 2 information, but even that seems out of the question.
Yeah.
Not to go too far off the rails here. I know the Tencent put out a statement earlier today, and I really wish I could find it. This is what happens. This is the problem when you do all your research while you're at work on your phone, and then when you get on live, you start getting on a computer trying to find those exact same sources.
As far as going backpedaling a bit back to gameplay, it looks kind of basic to me. Very in depth, like you just mentioned, baby's first MOBA. and it doesn't seem very in depth. I could see this being. I could get bored of this very quickly. Is my fear. Because I think one of the big things that you have to find a balance for with this is keeping it, interesting and fun for people to actually continue to play and then eventually spend money on, and then keeping it accessible and I guess a low skill ceiling in general, because a game like League has such a high skill ceiling at this point. It's so hard to get into.
That's very true.
So especially with a brand like Pokemon more geared towards a younger audience, you should probably be looking at, what's the word? Keeping that skill ceiling low, maybe even the skill floor a bit higher. Yeah.
Well, that goes back to, you reminded me of a point I actually wanted to make. Baby's first, MOBA. This is the same way I felt about Detective Pikachu, where
it's Baby's first Peaks, right?
Exactly, or first point and click game in general. That's what these games are. I do think that Pokemon should always focus on being the entry level of whatever game they're trying to mimic. So if you look at just Pokemon
gateway drug.
Yeah, exactly. Pokemon proper is technically Baby's first RPG.
Yeah, it's the gateway drug to RPGs. Exactly. It is.
So it should be entry level at some point. And the fact that they're doing a MOBA style game, it doesn't necessarily bother me that it's Baby's first MOBA, because again, I've said it on numerous occasions, it needs to be this way. Pokemon should always be the entry level because it has the ability to skew to the youngest demographics. Pokemon are inherently designed to be cute. I mean, I know there are some vicious looking Pokemon, but those aren't the look at who our mascot characters are for the franchise. We have Pikachu and we have Eevee, two of the cutest Pokemon within that first generation. And Pikachu stood the test of time. It took Eevee 20 years to become a secondary mascot.
It's what I believe one of the designers at one point said that the secret to making a Pokemon is that it has to look like a friend. So the fact that it looks like a friend instantly means that they are cute, So yeah.
All right, I can't find the statement from Timmy Studios, despite the fact that
you found it earlier.
I'm on their Twitter profile and I still can't.
They just been blast tweeting all their announcements and can't find the right one. Oh, I hate when that happens.
So it's everything. So they're still pimping stuff from last week's present. So it's even Timmy Studios direct Twitter. Basically, they just spoke about to how excited they were that they were working with a brand like Pokemon, that they would do their absolute best to bring this game in a way that makes everyone super happy. I finally found it. As I say, here's the exact statement. Thank you for joining us to celebrate the announcement of Pokemon Unite at the Pokemon Presents. This is unprecedented for Timmy Studios, both as an opportunity and a challenge. Pokemon Unite is Pokemon's first team battle game. Timmy Studios is honored to partner with the Pokemon Company to develop this game. We are excited to provide a cross-platform experience on Nintendo Switch and mobile devices that will allow more ways for people to play together. This is a new and challenging endeavor for Timmy Studios. Pokemon Unite offers a new twist on team battles with a focus on the inherent fun of playing Pokemon, offering battling, capturing, and training Pokemon to evolve. Pokemon is cherished by players of all ages around the world. We have been hard at work to allow for an entirely new way to experience Pokemon that is fun for players of different backgrounds to play over and over again. The final gameplay is still under development, and we hope that you will stay tuned for more details. We hope that you enjoy this new Pokemon experience and will share your feedback with us. Very long-winded, and they repeated themselves multiple times. But either way, that's, I don't know Timmy Studios. I assume that they are big in China. So hopefully they've been around for about 12 years now. So they are fairly well established. So it's not like they came out of nowhere. So it is what it is. I want to move into a different point of conversation because we've now had 2 Pokemon Presents in the last 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
So, and as you've noticed, these have been very far away from Nintendo proper. These aren't even on the Nintendo, YouTube page. These are being promoted through Pokemon's YouTube page. And we're starting to see the Pokemon Company being a lot more autonomous from Nintendo, moving the Pokemon
Mhm.
brand away from Nintendo as a whole. Is this a problem? Because, as you know, Nintendo does in fact own a third of the Pokemon brand. The way the Pokemon is broken up is the ownership. Nintendo owns,
Mhm.
33%. Game Freak owns 33%, and TCPI, the Pokemon Company International, owns 33%.
I thought it was Creatures that. Well, Creatures doesn't exist anymore, do they?
No, I think Creatures became the Pokemon Company.
Okay. All right.
So we have these three separate entities
Okay.
that own Pokemon pretty equally.
Mhm.
In order for any of these games to exist that we've seen recently, with the exception of Pokemon Snap, there has to be a degree of agreement between the three parties involved, right? Like TCPI can't just go willy-nilly do whatever they want. They have to have Nintendo's blessing.
Yeah.
But are we getting to the point where it's time for Nintendo to either outright purchase the Pokemon Company or merge with them? Because I'm starting to see this thing where it's like we are starting to see a watering down of the brand. I didn't think so up until this point. Pokemon Smile, I get to a degree why you would want to do some of these things. But this announcement today makes me think that I think we're seeing like the watering down of the brand, because now we're not even inside the core genres that the franchise typically likes to play within.
So I think that we might just be done with Pokemon Directs. I think Pokemon's gonna, because like previously it was either you had a Pokemon Direct or they just had like an investor meeting that they broadcast, right? I think Pokemon Presents is their own direct, and I think that's good because that allows them to do more things within the Pokemon brand that might not be directly related to Nintendo. They could announce Detective Pikachu, the movie 2, or the game 2, or more mobile apps and a line of plushies. They can expand on where the Pokemon brand is. Like the new season of the anime is, they talk about that. So I think this can be their thing, and I think that's good for them as a separate company from Nintendo. I kind of like them exercising their rights to take the Pokemon brand kind of outside of Nintendo. So if Pokemon really wanted to, they could put a Pokemon game on PlayStation and Xbox, but they can't.
Nintendo could actually block that specifically.
So what Nintendo has the power to do is they can say you can't take Pikachu and all 900 Pokemon. You can't have those in your Pokemon games. You can't have a Pokemon game without Pikachu and all the Pokemon, though, is the issue.
Yeah, sorry, Nintendo actually owns like the core of the franchise.
Yeah, so that's why you won't see that happen. But Pokemon can expand wherever they want to, and we're seeing that now. Like you're saying, it's kind of watering down almost. But they're not moving strictly from Nintendo platforms. We're seeing a lot more mobile focus. We're seeing, the expansion of more merchandising than before. So they're going places that aren't strictly making games for Nintendo now.
Exactly. So typically, I wouldn't have a problem with this being any other company, but I have seen a similar process happen with another second-party Nintendo developer, and that is Rare.
Mm-hmm.
Rare die at Microsoft because Nintendo wouldn't outright purchase them. Is still to this day, I think, one of the saddest things I've ever seen within the gaming industry. Like Rare, excuse me, oof, I'm gonna have to edit that out. Rare moving to Microsoft and doing their own thing under the Microsoft branch, it's killed them. It's to the point where like none of those original developers are there, and they make their own games now. The ukulele games. What are they called now? Team 17.
Lab 404 or something. I thought they were like some lab. Playtonic, right?
Yeah, Playtonic.
Yeah, Playtonic. Yeah.
They went ahead and moved to formed their own studio, Playtonic. But I've seen this before, and I didn't like what it did to Rare, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna like what's gonna happen with the Pokemon brand being able to shift and move outside of core Nintendo. I think of Nintendo. There are three pillars to Nintendo, right? We have Mario,
Zelda.
and we have Pokemon, right?
Mm-hmm.
These three pillars that, and while Pokemon being the youngest pillar, it's it may be the most financially stable of the three brands.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think Nintendo should have exercised the right to outright purchase Game Freak and Creatures Inc. outright, because now we're at this point where TCPI controls a fairly large portion of the brand, right? 33% is a lot. I mean, it's an equal part to what Nintendo owns properly. I don't know. I'm starting to get to the point where I don't like seeing on mobile games.
Oh, I hate them. I've never been too big of a fan of them, but I have to respect them. I think because, at the end of the day, these are business decisions, and Pokemon Go makes money.
Mm-hmm.
Like these mobile games probably make more money than the core series like Sword and Shield do. Because
make more money last year than it made launch year.
Pokemon what?
Pokemon Go made more money last year than it made the year it launched.
Possibly. I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, yeah, that's kind of. And what have they done with that? They didn't have to make a whole new Pokemon Go. They made the game once. They pay Niantic, to update it, every couple months, and that's basically it. And it just makes money, right? Whereas Sword and Shield got to make a whole new game every 2 years. Like Pokemon games don't particularly make money. You get the money from the merchandise, selling plushies and toys, as well as now mobile games. I can't hate Pokemon Company for making games that make them money. I just can't.
I'm not blaming them. I understand why they do it. From Nintendo's perspective, I have to.
I hate it.
Why are you not doing more
Mm-hmm.
to exercise your control over the brand? Like you're letting them operate the franchise with a little too much autonomousness.
I mean, Nintendo still makes profit from what they do.
So this would be huge in China. It might be huge globally. We don't know how the game is actually going to perform.
Even though the game doesn't look great, Pokemon will sell no matter what. It always sells. So seeing a Pokemon MOBA, it's gonna make money. If not, as much as Go or something, it's still gonna make money. And I think that this is the big thing that this game has going for it, is that it's Pokemon. And if they have the backing of Pokemon, if they can support this game, it can have a long lifespan. It depends on how much they support it. With post-content updates along the line, but this game has potential to be huge. Like in terms of money, it could top League of Legends or whatever the highest profitable MOBA is, just because it's Pokemon. It could be a shit game, but because it's Pokemon, it could be the best money making MOBA period.
I do think what works out in Nintendo's favor in this particular instance is that this is a cross-platform title. This is accessible via the Nintendo Switch.
For sure.
That might be the only reason why Nintendo doesn't try to block products like this and Pokemon Cafe Mix, products that may water down the IP as a whole. It is what it is. At some point, I do believe Nintendo is going to have to start exerting some more control over the IP. Just so that we don't get a watering down of the brand any further. I do not mind certain types of experiences, but if we're getting away from the core of Pokemon. And I know that Game Freak is only one development studio with a very tiny staff. And they should really start focusing on hiring
more people.
Exactly.
Oh, that ticks me off so much. They can hire more people. They can hire an entire army,
I know for a lot of the reasons they do it is because, it's easier to control.
I know. I get it, but
at the same time, you need to, Game Freak needs to do a little bit more. Actually, this reminds me. Before we get too off topic, did you see that Little Town Hero was going to be dropping on the PS4?
No, but I don't see why they wouldn't, right?
Exactly. Nintendo,
they're autonomous.
Exactly. Nintendo needs to start pulling these second-party developers closer to the chest, keeping them. There needs to be more incentive for these games to remain exclusive.
I mean,
I don't know if Nintendo could outright buy the Pokemon Company at this point. I think with the brand being valued at $95 billion,
I don't know anyone can buy that.
I don't know what the TCPI is actually worth. I couldn't find their actual value, but I do know that I do think a merger at this point might be a smart consideration for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
But with Game Freak, you can just outright buy them. They're small enough to just enter them into the fold, and with them being in the, with them as in-house Nintendo developers, the resources that can go into the Pokemon brand,
it's so huge.
Like a skimp on making a Pokemon game. Look at how much money Nintendo gives Monolith Soft to make Xenoblade. Look at how pretty those games look.
Like, not only do you have more resources, but I feel like you would also have a bit more quality control, as well as a bit more, I feel bad things, but knowledge. I feel like in terms of making, because Game Freak has gone on record saying they don't know how to make 3D games. They are still learning how to make games in 3D.
Which at this point, you've done 6.
Yeah, I mean 6. What? But 6 originals, and then not even including like remakes.
X and Y, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon.
Well, I don't count Ultra Sun, but it's X and Y, Oras.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Oras. Yeah, which would replace the Sun and Moon, or Ultra Sun and Moon.
And then
Let's Go, then Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield, or Let's Go was handled by
Oh, it was different.
Let's Go was done by TCPI.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
TCPI was not a game.
But the point still stands. They're deep in 3D development, and they still don't know how to do it, and it shows. But Nintendo's been doing it for a while. They can help.
Understands compression. Look at how big the downloads are for Switch games. They're not big. They're only big when you're buying a third-party title, right?
And then Pokemon comes in here, like, what, 10, 12 gigabytes or whatever? It's stupid.
Like, Breath of the Wild is a much larger game than Sword and Shield. And somehow Nintendo compressed that to a manageable, what was it, 7 gigs?
Yeah, like less than 8. I know that much. Yeah. Like, they understand their own hardware better than anyone. And Game Freak doesn't, because they're not in that fold. I do kind of like the idea of Game Freak being able to experiment more freely with games when they're not tied to Nintendo. I highly encourage experimentation and trying new things in the video game market. Like Little Town Hero, make it. Pocket Card Jockey, make it. I encourage that. But
a merger between the two companies would actually give Nintendo a larger piece of the Pokemon pie.
For sure, yeah, because then they own, between Game Freak's share and Nintendo share, it's 66, right? Yeah.
So you're looking at like the majority, and that when you own that much of something, you get to make the big boy decisions. Then that will put Pokemon Company slightly in check. And I hate to say that because I love the Pokemon Company. I've loved the way that they've expanded the brand. And considering that the last president of the Pokemon Company was the president of Nintendo after Iwata's passing,
he made great decisions.
Yeah, you would think that there would be more synergy between the two companies, but there isn't.
I feel like there's less and less synergy as we go on. The more the Pokemon brand gets watered down, like you're saying, the less, synergy there are. The more they do their own thing, become autonomous, there's less and less synergy for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think Nintendo needs to start making some moves. They're the most profitable video game company in Japan right now. Despite the success Sony has had this generation, Nintendo has still managed to be ahead of them as far as like finances are concerned. You keep letting the Pokemon Company operate the way that it's operating, you're going to start to see some big shifts in the way that the brand is utilized going forward. And these moves that we're seeing here, they're harmless now. They're harmless now. This is so off topic, but this is just the way I feel. Like I've been thinking about this all day.
Yeah.
Like what the Pokemon brand has become versus what it started out as. In the beginning, you saw Nintendo exerted a lot of control over the brand. If you bought something from Pokemon, the brand, toys, books, it always said Pokemon, Game Freak, Creatures, Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Now it will say the Pokemon Company, and that's it.
Yeah.
None of those other brands are there. That's how much control the Pokemon Company has been able to wrestle away from the other two entities that are, in part ownership of the brand as a whole. That you don't even have to credit the other two.
Mm-mm.
We've gotten to a very weird place.
I mean, the other two are under that umbrella, though.
Say that
think about it. The other, so Creatures, Game Freak, and Nintendo are all under the umbrella of the Pokemon Company, though. So if you credit the Pokemon Company, legally, I guess you are crediting those three entities, right?
Yes. In that essence, yes, you would be like crediting them, but it's
not the same.
Exactly. You don't see
branding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Branding is important.
Yeah. When you buy a toy and it says Nintendo, even if it's a Pokemon product, you associate,
Shits and giggles. Just shits and giggles. All right. To a degree. All right. So I'm looking at the Funko Pop box. Here it is under the 1995 copyrights. They do list Nintendo and Creatures here. Mm-hmm. But on the toys that I bought from Pokemon Quest, the Nintendo label isn't anywhere there. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. I don't know how control gets exerted. But I know that like core Pokemon products do not have that Nintendo branding on them anymore. Mm-hmm. I rarely see it. Anyway, we have gone way off the rails.
Yeah, sorry.
But I think that's where this conversation needed to go, because this is just the way I see it. When I look at this game, I feel like this game shouldn't exist.
I think it makes sense.
It does.
Like I said, this can compete with the league business-wise. Yeah,
business-wise, I understand why this is happening. I think from like an ownership standpoint, I don't understand how this could get to this point. How we see the brand come this far away from its core and its roots. I almost feel
like they're trying to build a new core, if that makes sense. Like they're just trying to make Pokemon an everything brand, which is usually a decision that kills brands. You can't do everything. You have to have a target focus. Pokemon is leaning enough where you can try and do that. And I think they're trying, to be an everything company. We're going to do games. We're going to do lifestyle with Go and Smile. We're going to do like everything, and that can kill it.
So when I was watching this presentation this morning, and I was seeing what they were showing, mm-hmm. You want to know what I was thinking?
What?
What's dead serious? What I was thinking? I would have rather had you show me Pokemon Sleep.
Yeah, where is that? Actually, though,
I was like, wow. I don't know if I have any interest in Pokemon.
Is there going to be peripheral for Pokemon Unite? That might get my interest. Pokemon Unite Plus.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, so, at this point, totally not.
All that beeps as you walk past another player. I'd buy that. I'm not gonna buy that. I'd buy that real quick. Oh, you trying to battle, son?
But I mean, backpedaling, being an everything brand will kill it. But I think they're genuinely attempting, and they're trying to sort of become that as their core. That's what it kind of feels like at this point. They're so far away from that old core. This might be just their new core is to do everything.
At some point, I think we're gonna have to address the fact that like what the audience wants is like a Gen 4 remake, and what we're getting are these weird announcements, but I'm not sure if
next year
dive into
or 5 years. One of the two.
This has been a weird conversation. I did enjoy this one because I think we got to talk about some things that normally we wouldn't have discussed.
You don't have an opportunity to discuss the business side of where the Pokemon brand is going a lot of the time.
Exactly. Most of the time it's like, hey, this game's been announced or this DLC
mm-hmm.
is announced.
Which is what happened, but because it was such a weird announcement, we get to talk about this from the wider perspective of things.
Exactly. Speaking of, I bought the Isle of Armor yesterday.
Ooh, I know you hesitant.
Gorgeous. Not from a graphical standpoint, but just
scenery.
Yeah, the way that they built it, like, I absolutely love that. I now just give me some Pokemon Snap graphics within.
Right. And I think, you know, they really made the biomes pretty, but I think the two things that do it for me a lot are the fact that there's more bodies of water. Like, there's just an entire part of an ocean you can explore, which was missing.
Have you Sharpedo yet?
What? Yeah, I fought Sharpedo. Yeah, I beat it on my team.
Chase you down?
Yeah, all the time, dude.
Terrifying thing in the world.
They're just Sharpedo. Chill.
I don't know. I was like riding and I was like, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Ah! Making my trainer run away, and it still caught me. I was like,
yeah, they're fast. I think they're faster than you at max speed, but they can't turn as well as you. But the biomes look nice, and you have a lot more ocean space, which was like kind of lacking in the main game. And you have more elevations in the wild area as well. Like
the whole cave system.
Yeah, there's the cave system, and then there's where the darkness tower is. There's it's on the peak of a mountain with a lookout point, which like one of the big issues I had with the original wild area is there's no lookout points. It's all pretty much 2 flat elevations, and that's it. But you can go to that tower and just look out, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I love what I saw. I haven't completely explored it. I didn't have a whole lot of time after I made the purchase because I was editing videos all day yesterday.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I like what they've done. And last week they did make the announcement that if 1 million players beat Zeraora, we'd be getting a shiny version. That goal has been met.
Yeah, we get it. So on the 30th,
did it yesterday? Is when they when the goal was met. I finally battled my first Zeraora today, 4-star, and then I had a second battle with Mario After Party. We'd beat a 5-star. So I don't know. I don't know if they specifically said you had to beat it to get a chance at getting it, or if just participating would allow you. I think
participating should allow you. I want to say.
Either way, I'm happy to be getting a shiny legendary or
mythical. Technically, yeah, it's mythical.
Yeah,
if it's event distribution, it's mythical usually.
So yeah, definitely like the fact that this was a fun way to do it. Having mythical raids. Yeah. I hope we move forward with this. I don't want to go to GameStop to get game codes anymore. I've canceled GameStop in 2020. I'm done. My membership ended back in March, and I've never been happier.
Between Pokemon Home, Pokemon Pass, and the systems they have within the games now, there's no reason to have event codes at all. Period. They should just not exist.
Pokemon Pass was the thing. I don't even have that on my new phone.
Yeah, like it's they don't use that nearly as much as I thought they would, but that right there just means that there are no more like codes. You go and you scan a QR code at most.
I swear, the last time I used Pokemon Pass was for Detective Pikachu. It was the only event they had for it, right?
They had Let's Go Pikachu EV event with a shiny Pikachu and or Eevee. I think those, and they had an outfit you could get in Sword and Shield from Walmart, I think. But yeah, those are the 3 things.
You're right. I did do that Walmart event. Anyway, guys, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna cut today's topic off because we turned a 10-minute video into an hour-long conversation.
I hate us.
That's fine though. That's fine. I like these. These are still shorter than standard episodes.
I hate that.
But we've been doing pretty good though. We've been managing to keep the episodes under 2 hours lately. We've been at the hour 30, hour 45 mark. So
only because there's nothing to talk about.
Exactly. But that being said, if you haven't gotten your fill of Pokemon talk from us, I did put up 2 videos yesterday. I unboxed the Glaceon figure from Funko, and I also unboxed the Flareon. I actually waited. I was so burnt out last month that I waited an entire month to actually edit the Glaceon video, and yeah, it made my life miserable yesterday because I was editing 4 videos. That being said, yeah, those 2 videos are up. I hope you watch them. I hope you enjoy them. I'm surprised at how much love those videos have been getting lately. I guess that means that's the content that you guys want, so I'm going to keep bringing that to you. Aside from that, I think we're going to have a good topic for next week because everybody's revealed their consoles. So the next discussion I want to have is how does Nintendo stay relevant now that these hardcore next-gen systems are out, and we know the specs, and we've now seen the games, where does Nintendo stand? And I think that discussion is going to be incredible.
If I can just put my 2 cents right there right now, Breath of the Wild 2, as long as Nintendo puts that out at right when they release their consoles, done deal. Who's gonna buy a $700 PlayStation when they can get Breath of the Wild 2?
I'm already on board, man. I mean, for PS5, I'm already on board. I'm just waiting for those pre-orders to go live. They announced the second Spider-Man game at launch.
That and Ratchet & Clank. Insomniac is god-level game developers. They do so much good. That Spider-Man and Ratchet & Clank
also,
so
that
good.
little Big Planet game looks a lot like Mario Odyssey.
It doesn't look like a great 3D platform. It looks like it's definitely better than Knack, but it doesn't look as good as Mario to me. Like, it's which are two extremes, but it definitely falls somewhere between there. It doesn't look bad. I miss traditional Little Big Planet, but I'll live. I don't know.
That's what Mario Maker's for.
True, that is kind of the better Big Planet now.
Much more functional game. I'm gonna choose that over LBP.
I can see that. Yeah. When's Mod Nation Racers and Little Big Planet karting come back though? Because we don't have Mario Kart Maker yet, and those IPs from Sony died, and I'm kind of pissed. There's Trackmania, and that's it. What the
fuck? Zelda Dungeon Builder. If we ever get a Zelda Dungeon Builder from Nintendo, that's a wrap for me, dude.
You might have a Tingle spin-off game that was that.
Yeah, I think they tried to do something like that.
And then we also have the Link's Awakening.
But yeah, next week's topic, how does Nintendo stay relevant? I'm going to have a lot of talk. That one that'll probably take us 2 hours, because I think there's going to be a lot of intense debate as to how and what Nintendo needs to do in order to, stay relevant. But with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. But before we let you go, social media link time. You can hit me up on Twitter at Nice193, and you can email me at nice193@gmail.com. You can hit us up at Facebook, facebook.com/NintendoPowerZone. If you're a fan of this podcast, you can always download new episodes on iTunes, Google Play Music, stream episodes on Spotify and Stitcher Radio. But if you want to watch the video version of the show, you got to check us out here, youtube.com/NintendoPowerZone. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at VKingBlues. Blues, as always, spelled BLOOZ. Last weekend, I streamed and completed the Isle of Armor, and I shall be doing more of that next week, though. We're going to be doing some shiny hunting. We're going to be finding all the Diglets, completing the Pokedex, and just exploring the island a bit more. So if you want, it'll be around the weekend. I'll tweet out the times when I go live. So once again, follow that Twitter, and you can follow me on Twitch at BKingBlues. Once again, Blues spelled BLOOZ.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Pokemon Presents discussion. We'll be back next week. And remember to stay fresh. Deuces.